just to introduce our Next Level Leadership, the Institute for Next Level Leadership, our mission is to empower leaders from within. And the Crisis Leadership Series is our way of supporting that mission.
And it's just take 1 second to give you some of the basic principles of the Next Level of Leadership that may help you understand our weird behavior. And it's one of the things I became aware of during this self-imprisonment. I had to convince the kids that they were artists in residence. And in doing so, I came to the awareness that I really understand why some animals eat their young. But in terms of the next level leadership, there's some foundational principles that we actually believe, we coach from, we teach from, and the first principle is that everyone is a leader, and that leader resides within you.
Sorry.
And you know, the founding fathers figured this out in the Declaration of Independence when they said, by virtue of your creation, you have certain unalienable rights. And so that's one. Number two, so then that changes what we do from teaching leadership to awakening leadership. You want to learn about leadership? There's hundreds of thousands of books written on leadership. And probably by the time you read the 500th one, you figure out you're taking apart a radio looking for the music. It's not in the radio, it's in here. And last but certainly not least, that you may ask the question, what does leadership have to do with crisis management? And it has everything to do with it, especially if you awaken that leader within you. And you can lead yourself, you can lead anything. And so those are the fundamental issues that we try and deal with and explain and teach with kindness and joy and grace and ease. And it's been a blessing for us. So is this. We do this for us as much as we do it for anybody that wants to join.
So we set up to do the Christ Leadership Series every Tuesday. And so every Tuesday will be a time for inspiration and presentation and conversation. And I think the most important part is to empower, to ourselves, empower our leaders from within and come together to create a better world for ourselves and especially for our children. So the environment that we want to have for these meetings, or that we would like to create for these meetings, is one that supports a safe and supportive environment, that connects with our inner leader, that provides us with some success tools for this time. And it's an opportunity for network and inspiration, something that uplifts us. And we want to do that with fun. You know, it's like, what's the point of doing this if it's not for fun? So bring it in, you know, bring your jokes, bring your laughing self. Here is some of the interesting pandemic observations we've had.
Yeah, this is probably one of many favorites I have. You know, this is the frantic type who hoards the toilet paper. And I got to tell you,
that's John Dale.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have to tell you,
it's one of our crisis selves.
When this whole thing started, you know, living for 20 years with someone who was raised in a third world country, I call Inely from Costco and say, do we need toilet paper? She said, we don't need toilet paper. The custom in Brazil is you drip dry or find a leaf.
That's not true. But I just thought there could be more important things than toilet paper.
Right.
But this is one of the crisis selves that we have observed in ourselves and others. The next one is the suspicious one. You know, we lock ourselves out of the door and you're afraid to open the door.
Yeah. And this is the couch potato who watches all the movies, eats and sleeps all day and all night. And oh, by the way, in the month of March, Netflix enrolled 16 million new customers, highest enrollment ever.
Mike, it's a little hard to hear you. Can you talk like straight at the computer?
Speak louder.
I can do that. Thank you, John. Is that
Thank
better?
you. I want to hear every word you say. That's all.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's the couch potato style. And that's the one I've seen often around my house. The angry one. I guess who's the one? We've seen that one often walking around here. The angry one, you know, the one who's trying to blame something, somebody. Let's sue China. It's China's fault. They haven't handled it well.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. I'll show you the one I see all the time. I'm afraid one day he'll come home and Inely's going to be in a hazmat suit with a power washer. This has gone beyond. I've bit my feet in Clorox. You know, I got to change my shoes. I got to listen. Did you wash your hands? I didn't see you wash your hands. If I didn't see you wash your hands, you didn't wash your hands.
Yeah, so this one has shown up frequently here. And then, of course, the times of fear. The times of fear is like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening in the world right now? You know?
Okay, I'd see this one a lot too. This is the motivator. Come on, let's go exercise, get in shape. I mean, my 13-year-old was going to the gym and Inely's trying to touch her head with her feet. And,
backwards.
backwards, you know, it's really fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
I would try it, but my prostate would probably fall out.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I heard that.
You're healthy. Sometimes shows up, you know, let's all be healthy and eat whole foods and experience nature in our kitchen. And then this is me yesterday. That was me yesterday. It's eating all the cookies I could find. And then, of course, the overstimulated one is like, can't wait for the next online meeting. And then the understimulated
one, yeah.
Yeah, the one who really drags each online encounter. But you know, you got the idea. And the point is that it's all okay. No matter which self is presenting and which time, and it may vary a lot in the same day, it's all fine. Our success tool for today is neutral observation. And the key word here is neutral, because in a time of crisis, it's so difficult to tap into that neutrality.
Stay out of the victim mode.
Right, stay out of the victim mode, stay out of blaming mode, stay out of all these modes we just seen. So neutrality is key. And before I explain to you neutrality, or we talk about neutrality, I'd like to show you a video. Thank you, thanks to Gabriella. It's a video of a child and how the child reacts to the uncomfortable. You know, I would like to ask you to pay attention to the moment where she stops and pauses, the way she takes her breath, you know, the way she takes her time before she moves ahead, and the way in which she brings herself present into the now, into this breath, and into this moment. And I'm just encouraging you to look at how neutrality is done from a place of innocence.
And if you just take a minute to think about what is a child, and it comes brand new. It's never seen a movie, it's never read a book, it's never been to the library, it's never been to the theater, it hadn't been to Disneyland. As Nelson Mandela said, no one has taught it to hate yet. It is brand new. But it comes with with every one of these natural things that we talk about, not the least of which is instinct. You go like that to a child, it'll go like this, and intuition. So watch this from your little person inside.
So we're going to take a look at this video right now.
That is so good.
You know, so the interesting part of this video is that I think this this looks a lot of where we are in the world today, the world may look like a precipice. And the way the next step we take for ourselves and for others is one that requires this pause. It requires our ability to acknowledge and recognize with neutrality whatever is happening inside of us. Just that simple acknowledge, it can be so healing and so powerful. So the ability to, the opportunity to come to neutrality and look at it without a preconceived notion, without judgments. Perhaps the ability to come to ourselves and recognize a place in us that goes beyond our thoughts, beyond our emotions, and beyond our bodies. When I was pregnant, I could hear my children's heart before they had a heart. With 2 weeks into the pregnancy, I was able to hear the children's heart. They didn't have a brain, they didn't have a heart, but they had a vibration. They had a unique frequency about themselves that perhaps informed who they then became. And so this is the opportunity to come in attunement with that vibration, with that is inside of us, that transcends our contractions. It transcends our denying attitudes. It transcends our judgments and our opinions. And it's simply an invitation to discover who we truly are, who we are beyond our thoughts, beyond our emotions, beyond our body, and an invitation to come to this very moment, to the now, to this breath. Do you have anything?
No, that was really good.
Okay, so I think that's a very, interesting idea and very easy said.
Yeah.
The problem with it is that when we are looking at that precipice, when we look ahead of us at our next step, and it's something uncomfortable, there is something inside of us, which is a very powerful inner force called instinct, that says, I don't recognize that. I don't even like that. Alert, obstacle not identified. Do not proceed. You will die.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Right, that moment of looking at the next step is a moment of great hesitancy, a great fear. Fear is a normal instinctual reaction.
And it reminds me of the poem, where I'll just briefly summarize it. Come to the edge.
Let's wait for that poem for a minute. Hold on. Because this is the instinct. The instinct is the part inside of us that is afraid. It's looking back in our cell memory level, in our previous experiences to inform our next step. And our next step is so different from everything in our reference point that it makes us paralyzed. It's the freeze. Right. Now, the next part of this moment, the one that propels us into our step, is the intuition. Is the part of us that is looking ahead and it's like, oh my God, this is new. It's unknown, adventure, excitement. Let's go. We will fly. We will not die, but we will fly. The intuition is the part of us that is willing to take that fear into motion. It moves us beyond the instinct. It moves us beyond our fear in order to step into the unknown. And now that poem is great.
Come to the edge, he said. Oh no, we can't come to the edge. It's dangerous. Come to the edge. It will be okay. Oh no, we may fall. Come to the edge. And they came, and he pushed them, and they flew.
So that's the power of our intuition. the power to recognize the sacredness of the now. There's another poem, really short poem, and I would like to tell you about the sacredness of the now. And it's a poem by Helen Mellecote. And it says, I was regretting the past and fearing the future. Suddenly, my Lord was speaking. My name is I am. He paused. I waited. He continued. When you live in the past with its mistakes and regrets, it's hard. I'm not there. My name is not I was. When you live in the future with its problems and fears, it's hard. I'm not there. My name is not I will be. When you live in this moment, it's not hard. I'm here. My name is I am. So we'll get into our conversation. Before we get into our conversation, and here are some questions that we can think of. What was your first reaction when this whole pandemic started? What have you observed in yourself during this time, and what's your perspective now? These are just some points. But before we get into that, we thought that we could take just a couple minutes of just going inside, just a couple minutes of silence, and really connect to ourselves, inside of ourselves, connect to our breath, to what's present here. And then we're gonna open up and talk about it together. How's that? I think there has never been a time in the history of mankind where coaching would be so important. This is the time for us, those that are above the water, to help those that are under the water. And I think coaching is that opportunity to come one-on-one, to create that deep individual connection and to love each other through this. I'm biased to say because I am a coach, but what we've created, the Institute for Next Level Leadership, we've developed it with 3 main programs right now. The Crisis Leadership Series, which is the one we're going through today, and it's going to be on every Tuesday. And I'm not good in marketing at all. And so if this is something that you would like to support us, just please let us know your feedback. We're going to do the best we can to incorporate, to improve as we go. Please come back. Please bring your friends. So hopefully this can be a service to everyone who participates, and it can give us that sense of connection and loving and learning throughout this. Our next program is the Next Level Leadership Mastermind program, which is the one that Jorge and Chinori just graduated from. We are starting the next one in October. It's going to be an 8-month program, and it involves the individual coaching, the group coaching, and the community, on Facebook. And now we are launching a new program, which is the licensing program. It's the Leading the Leader Next Level Leadership Mastery Licensing Program for people who are interested in becoming a licensed coach and facilitator through the Institute. And the coaching, it includes everything that it's in the Leadership Mastermind, but the coaching is geared towards developing your business, towards enhancing your current practice with the teachings and the learnings from the program. Cool. Yeah, this is a very short explanation, but we would welcome very much your feedback. If you want to write back to us or text, or we deeply appreciate the fact that you're here with us tonight. Well, in order to complete this call, I just want to call for a blessing of light and love, health, well-being, regeneration to each one of us, to our families, to all those that we work with. to all those around us, our communities, and to the planet, that we may envision the light covering and protecting each part of us and each part of this planet and everything and everyone in it. And thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you all next week.